Hey, how's it going everyone? Zufit back again. Today I'm bringing out a brand new video here on the channel. In this video, we are going to be discussing 15 exciting single-player games releasing in 2022. And just a quick note, this is obviously not going to be all of the single-player games releasing in 2022, just some that I found particularly interesting and exciting. If there's a game that I missed that you're excited about, be sure and let me know down in the comments below. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Here we go. So the first game on our list is going to be Dying Light 2 Stay Human, releasing February 4th for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Dying Light 2 takes place around 20 years after the events of the first game and around 15 years after the apocalypse. In Dying Light 2, players will also take control of a new protagonist named Aiden Caldwell, who is actually an infected survivor himself. Dying Light 2 takes place in Villendor, also known as the City. The game's map is said to be at least 4 times larger than the original game, and Techland has also said that it has doubled the parkour options for players this time around. The game is also said to feature 3 different factions fighting for control of the city that players can interact with. First up is the Peacekeepers. They are a very rigid and military-based faction focused on law and order, as well as maintaining control. Next up is the Renegades. The Renegades are scavengers and former prisoners who have broken free after the apocalypse. They also follow a leader called the Colonel. And finally, we have the Survivors. The Survivors are basically just regular folks, regular citizens who are trying to use the things around them to stay alive and to keep moving through this world. Choices are supposed to carry significant weight in Dying Light 2. So as you play the game and decide who to help as well as who to pair up with, visually the game will change, but also in terms of gameplay as well. First-person melee still looks like the primary combat style in the game. However, it looks like you'll also be able to combine weapons with certain elements to add some different style to your combat abilities. The game will also feature a day and night cycle. While during the day humans run the streets under the main priorities and also opposition, at night they become overrun by the infected. The game will also feature dark zones at night as well. These dark zones are different areas or buildings where the infected have clustered together, and it makes it very compact and chaotic to fight. Regarding the different viral or monsters that you'll experience in the game, there is a few different types. The most common type are viral enemies that you'll encounter in the world of Dying Light 2. Most of these enemies were just people who got exposed to the virus and were not able to manage it properly. So as these viral enemies spend more time in the darkness, their infection gets worse and takes away their humanity, so they go from viral to volatile. Now an even further step up from volatile enemies are special infected. These special infected are said to be created when the chemicals in the infection progress at an alarming rate, causing mutations. While the main focus of the game is single-player gameplay, Dying Light 2 will also once again offer up to 4-player co-op to experience with your friends. And finally, it is said that the main story will take around 15 to 20 hours to complete, but however, wrapping up everything will take closer to 100 hours or more. Next up, we have the highly anticipated PlayStation exclusive Horizon Forbidden West, set for release February 18th. Forbidden West is the sequel to 2017's Horizon Zero Dawn. Horizon Forbidden West is said to take place 6 months after the end of the first game, and we will see Aloy travel west from her homeland to a new frontier setting. Aloy is on a journey to seek out her friends as well as a solution to the Red Blight. The Red Blight is a mysterious organism that's destroying the natural world, killing off plants, animals, tribes, and also creating a non-stop superstorm. Along the way, Aloy will meet new tribes, including hostile tribes capable of overriding the machines. You will also face dozens of new machines as she searches for a way to cure this Red Blight. It is said that the game map will be a bit bigger than the original game, Horizon Zero Dawn. Forbidden West is said to stretch all the way from Utah to the Pacific coast. From the footage and pictures shown, landmarks have clearly shown post-apocalyptic San Francisco, with the Golden Gate Bridge being overtaken and the Palace of Fine Arts ruined and underwater. Forbidden West also has a huge focus on exploration, including underwater exploration. The game's narrative director is quoted as saying, "Exploration is really the theme, and it's not enough for us to just show underwater. We wanted to make sure it's every bit as beautiful as what you see in the natural world above it. But it wasn't just enough that you could swim around underwater. We wanted to do some things that are really surprising and interesting." So it sounds like the world on land is not only going to be beautiful, but the land underwater as well. The game also focuses on trying to make the different tribes that Aloy interacts with feel very real. Continuing on the topic of exploration and movement, the game's lead systems designer has talked about Aloy's ability to climb freely on and across huge sections of rocky terrain, being able to use different machines as mounts, using grapple points throughout the environment, swimming underwater, and also gliding with a shield wing. Combat in the game has also been overhauled in some ways. The game's lead combat designer has said that they wanted to increase player choice. This includes giving more choices for melee, weapons, outfits, skills, and different types of mechanics that players can choose and sort of tinker with to their liking. The original skill tree from Zero Dawn has also been redesigned and replaced with a brand new skill tree. Forbidden West game director has said that they hope that this new skill tree will offer more depth to players and allow players to sort of upgrade and choose what best fits their playstyle. The game will also feature different PS5 improvements compared to the PS4 version. This includes improved visual fidelity, including improved cinematic lighting and increased detail. PS5 owners will also be able to take advantage of the DualSense adaptive triggers and haptic feedback. They're also hoping to take advantage of the PS5 superfast SSD, and hopefully there will be virtually no loading screens. Forbidden West game director has said, in an open world game like Horizon Forbidden West, if you open up the map and fast travel from one end to the other, or restart from a checkpoint, it will be super fast. When you boot up the game, you're right there in the action. So with everything we've heard so far, it sounds like it's going to be another amazing experience. Next up on our list is Elden Ring, releasing February 25th for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Elden Ring tells the story of the Tarnished, who were banished from the lands between. With the Elden Ring now shattered, you must build your very own Tarnished and set out for a quest for glory to become the Elden Lord. The game is being developed by From Software, the makers of games such as the Dark Souls series, Demon's Souls, Bloodborne, and Sekiro. The game is also being co-written by Hidetaka Miyazaki and George R.R. Martin. While Martin was more focused on the lore of the game, such as its legends and characters, Miyazaki helped to create much of the in-game text and the character interactions. It is said that players will be able to choose between 10 different classes, however only 5 of those classes have been shown so far. Of the ones we've seen so far is the Bloody Wolf, the Enchanted Knight, the Prophet, the Champion, and the Warrior. The game will also feature a variety of different boss battles and unique enemies to fight. There will also be demigods who control the 6 different regions of the game. These are going to be the hardest bosses of the game, each possessing a shard of the Elden Ring. It is said that with these shards they have gained different powers, but due to their corruption were warped into the creatures that we will fight in the game. Players will need to defeat these demigods throughout the story to collect the different shards of the Elden Ring. The game will also feature a day and night cycle. Regarding the exploration and movement, players will be able to fast travel using points of grace and stakes of Marika. Players will also be able to navigate the map on a mount that they can summon nearly any time. They can also use spirit springs to leap into the air while on horseback, increasing the verticality of the game. It will also feature many dungeon areas such as Stormvale Castle. Regarding its difficulty, Elden Ring is described as being nearly as difficult as Dark Souls 3. However, the developers are hoping to make the game much more accessible to different players by providing different ways to approach the tasks in the game. Regarding the game's combat, there will be over 100 skills that players can develop that are not tied to weapons, giving players more freedom to choose their preferred combat style, whether that be melee focused, range, magic, or stealth. Miyazaki estimates that the main story will take at least 30 hours to complete. However, given the rich detail of the world, most players will take much more time than that to complete the game. For those looking for an epic open-world RPG with a lot of lore, then this game is probably one for you. Here's to hoping it'll live up to the hype. Next up we have Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl, releasing April 28th for Xbox Series S and X as well as PC. Stalker 2 is the next-gen sequel to the award-winning game franchise Stalker. It's a first-person shooter experience combining both RPG and action-adventure elements, giving players the experience of surviving in the post-apocalyptic Chernobyl exclusion zone. It is said that the exclusion zone has changed dramatically after the second massive explosion in the year 2006. The game will feature violent mutants, deadly anomalies, and different warring factions that make the zone a very dangerous place to survive. In the game, you will take over the role as a lone stalker. Within the game, you will be able to make your way through the exclusion zone and also choose your different paths within the what is said to be a highly branching epic story. You will meet members of different factions to decide who you want to be your ally or who you want to dispose of. You will also be able to engage in very intense gunfights with different enemies, trying to use various tactics to outsmart you. You will also have over 30 different types of weapons with various modifications that you can use to take down these different enemies. While you not only have to face different stalkers, you also have to face different horrible mutated creatures that will try to kill you as you go through. And you must be extremely careful for the mutants that are hunting in large groups. The game is said to feature a very seamless open world, allowing players to explore the exclusion zone without running into one single loading screen. However, this game is going to require some significant storage space as it's anticipated to take up to 180 gigabytes of file size. However, good news for PC players is the game is said to have mod support for the game. Sounds like a really awesome and interesting game that I cannot wait to get my hands on. Next up is Forspoken, a PlayStation 5 console exclusive, also releasing on PC May 24th. Forspoken is said to follow the journey of Frey Holland, a young New Yorker transported to the beautiful and cruel world of Athia. On a journey to find her way home, Frey must use her new magical abilities to transverse different landscapes and battle monstrous creatures. The game's creative producer has described Frey as a smart but still slightly immature 20-year-old woman living in New York. They also go on to say that she doesn't trust the world very much and uses sarcasm and humor to deflect from her vulnerability. Her arrival sets off a chain of events which begins the game's main story, and it follows her journey as she tries to find her way back home and also learns to wield her new magic. Magic will be very important in the game as it's used for both combat and different ways to explore and navigate the map. You'll be able to attack enemies, but you'll also be able to navigate the map using the magic in different ways. While we don't know too much about the game or the world so far, we know that Athia was once a continent of peace, but it is now on the brink of destruction. Athia is ruled by figures known as the Tantas, and one of those Tantas that we know has been confirmed so far is Tanta Sila. Sila has been described as one who has immense physical strength and lives for the battlefield. She is also in charge of Athia's defense. Another interesting feature of the game that we don't know too much about is Freya's Cuff. Cuff is actually another character in the game, and it plays an important role in the story. Cuff will help to guide Frey through the story, but will also be its own individual character, and Frey and Cuff will be speaking back and forth throughout the game. Sounds like a very interesting and creative experience. I'm very excited to see more in the future. And next up on our list is Starfield, releasing on Xbox Series S and X as well as PC November 11th. Starfield is a single-player RPG set in outer space from the makers of Fallout and the Elder Scrolls, sending players on an epic sci-fi adventure. This will be Bethesda's first new IP in 25 years. Starfield will take players into the future and into outer space, and Todd Howard describes it as being like Skyrim in space. Starfield is set to transport players to the settled systems in the year 2330. The settled systems are described to be located in a relatively small pocket of the Milky Way in an area that extends outward from our solar system for approximately 50 light years. The game will also feature different factions, with the two largest factions being the United Colonies and the Freestar Collective. The two factions were described as having been in a previous bloody colonial war before the game begins. However, at the beginning of the game, it is said that they had established an uneasy peace. The game will also feature different cities that players can explore. Some of those cities include the metropolitan capital of the United Colonies, New Atlantis, the freedom-driven capital of the Freestar Collective, Aquila, and the pleasure-driven city, Neon. Another exciting thing about Starfield is that players will be able to in-depthly customize their character. During a Reddit AMA, Todd Howard said he was really excited about what the team had done with character creation. He went on to explain that this creation included choosing backgrounds, skills, etc. Starfield will also offer players both first and third-person points of view. Todd Howard has offered that the game will be much larger than anything we have seen in previous Bethesda games. He further stated that the game will use procedural generation. This is something that is also used in No Man's Sky. This will mean that the game's world will be built by a randomized algorithm as opposed to the game devs having to manually create each area. This will help to create more depth and variety to the game as well as make it a more individualized experience. More good news for PC players is that the game plans to feature full mod support. Todd Howard says that our plan is to have full mod support like our previous games. Our modding community has been with us for 20 years. We love what they do and hope to see more make a career out of it. I'm not sure about you guys, but this is one of the most exciting games on the list, and I cannot wait to see more information from this game. So that wraps up the games with set release dates. Now we're going to talk about a few games coming out in 2022 that we are not totally sure when they are going to come out. First up, we have Hogwarts Legacy, releasing for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Hogwarts Legacy is an upcoming action RPG game set in the Harry Potter universe, where players are said to be able to experience Hogwarts in the 1800s. While J.K. Rowling is not directly involved in the project, the Harry Potter world sets the foundation for the game's story. Players will be able to create and customize their character, including their body type, gender, skin color, and voice. It is also said that players will be able to choose their Hogwarts house at the start of the game. In the game, your player will have an unusual ability to perceive and master ancient magic. It is said that it will be up to you to protect the secrets of this magic or succumb to using more sinister magic. That also means that in the game, your character's decision to be good or evil will play a huge role in the story. The game will feature a morality system where players will also encounter missions and scenarios that will pose difficult choices and determine what they stand for. Players will also discover new and exciting locations, characters, and stories not yet seen before in the Harry Potter universe. Players will also be able to tame various beasts and creatures as well as select companions to aid them in battle. Some of the confirmed creatures in the game include boggarts, hippogriffs, inferi, dementors, grafhorns, moon calves, swoopers, trolls, giant spiders, also known as acromantulas, and dragons. There have also been some spells for the game seen in leaked footage. Those spells are Expulso, Stupefy, Depulso, Lumos, Alamora, and Reparo. However, whether these spells will make it to the final game is yet to be seen. Hogwarts Legacy is definitely one that I am very excited for and I'm looking forward to playing, hopefully here on the channel. Let me know your thoughts as well. Next up on our list is A Plague Tale Requiem, releasing for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S and X, Switch, and PC. A Plague Tale Requiem is the sequel to the critically acclaimed and award-winning A Plague Tale Innocence. Innocence followed the story of the de Rune siblings, Amicia and Hugo, during the outbreak of a mysterious plague in medieval France, which involved swarms of man-eating rats. After escaping their devastated homeland following the events of A Plague Tale Innocence, Amicia and Hugo must travel far south to new regions and vibrant cities in Requiem. There they attempt to start a new life and control Hugo's curse. However, when Hugo's powers reawaken, death and destruction return in a flood of devouring rats. They are once again forced to flee, and the siblings place their hopes in a prophesized island that may hold the key to saving Hugo. The first gameplay trailer for the game has shown some interesting details. We know that players will be exploring a new part of France, and at one point we see Hugo by a coastline. It is also speculated that Hugo may himself be playing the role of the antagonist throughout the game, and based on some of the dialogue in the trailer, it sounds like Amicia is going to have to face a tough decision when it comes to protecting her brother or stopping the rats. With A Plague Tale Innocence getting many great reviews, I think it's safe to have high hopes for the sequel as well. Hopefully the game will provide another fantastic story-driven experience, and here's to finding out more about the game, hopefully soon. Next up on our list is Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, releasing for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S and X, Stadia, and PC. Frontiers of Pandora is a new action game from Ubisoft that will let players explore the world of Pandora as the battle rages on between the native Na'vi aliens and the human invaders. The game is lining up to release at the same time as one of the first of 4 new Avatar sequels, which is slated for release in 2022. However, the game will apparently tell its own story with brand new characters not seen in the films. The next Avatar movie is expected to be released in theaters December 2022, but whether or not Frontiers of Pandora will release around the same time has yet to be confirmed. Frontiers of Pandora won't release on last-gen machines like PS4 and Xbox One, and as you would expect, it is for technical reasons. Regarding the gameplay and story, the official site for the game describes it as a first-person action-adventure that is set in an immersive open world. From the trailers, we have seen Na'vis riding mounts, as well as the world being inhabited by creatures that we have seen and haven't seen in the films. However, it does look like the Pandora's native Na'vi will be taking on the RDA like in the film, who threatened to destroy their world. When interviewed about the game, the vice president of Disney and Pixar Games explained this: "The whole idea is to have it be part of the storyline of that giant franchise on Pandora. But it's not a play the movie game, it's an all-new open world with new characters. That's why it's called Frontiers of Pandora. It takes place on another frontier, another area of the moon of Pandora." While there's not too much revealed about the game so far, this is what we do know. Sounds like it's going to be an interesting new take on the world of Pandora, and I'm excited to see more. Next up on our list is GhostWire Tokyo, a timed console exclusive for PS5, as well as releasing on PC. GhostWire Tokyo is an upcoming first-person action-adventure game from the developers who created The Evil Within 1 and 2, and published by Bethesda. GhostWire Tokyo's story takes place in a twisted version of Tokyo. It is said that a mysterious fog has descended upon the city, causing 99% of the city's population to disappear. However, for some reason you have been spared by these visitors, a supernatural threat led by a masked figure known only as the Hanya. In the game, it'll be your job to explore the city and bring the truth about these visitors, as well as bring peace to the city. To accomplish your goals, you'll have to be able to master your ghost hunting skills as well as your ethereal weaving. In the game, ethereal weaving will be a combat stance that is described as karate meets magic. Players will be able to use various psychic and paranormal abilities to defeat the ghosts and spirits that are haunting Tokyo. The player's supernatural abilities begin to manifest when these spirits take over. The game's combat director has described the combat as karate meets magic, as the player will utilize hand movements inspired by Kujikira hand gestures to cast spells. When an enemy loses most of their health, its core is exposed and the player can use takedown moves to destroy it, then killing the spirit. Regarding the game's PS5 features, the studio is targeting dynamic 4K with HDR and ray tracing, as well as support for 3D audio. It also hopes to utilize the PS5's SSD storage to try and eliminate load times. This is actually one of the games that I was most excited for last year on my 2021 list, but unfortunately it got delayed. I'm excited to see more information from this game as well as hopefully play it in the near future. Next up on our list is another highly anticipated PlayStation exclusive, and that is God of War Ragnarok. This will be the sequel to the critically acclaimed God of War game released in 2018. The game will follow Ragnarok. According to Norse mythology, this is a series of events and catastrophes that will ultimately lead to the end of the world. The game follows the ending to the 2018 God of War game in which the events are set off. Together, Kratos and his son must face the impending Ragnarok. They will face the enemies they made in God of War like Freya, as well as new ones like Thor. It is said that in the game, Kratos must wrestle with his son's rebellious streak and his knowledge of who Atreus really is. The story will also take place across the 9 realms. Only 6 of these realms are shown in God of War, with the upcoming game adding Vanaheim, Svartalfheim, and Asgard to the mix. Apologies for any poor pronunciation. Christopher Judge will return once again as Kratos, while Richard Schiff joins the cast as Odin, and Ryan Hurst, also known as Beta from The Walking Dead, will play Thor. In an interview with Games Radar, the game's director Eric Williams said this: "Staying true to what we did last time, it's keeping the father-son relationship moving. It doesn't just stop like, oh, we finished this for mom, we're good. No, like there's a lot more that goes on in life and it continues moving forward. Last time it was one kid with a lot of adults talking. This is like, well, there are some different perspectives. We're going to see it from a kid's perspective in the world, figuring things out that they thought were black and white, or maybe much more gray, and a lot more family dynamics." So it sounds like it's going to be another incredible expanse on the beloved series, and I'm excited to see more. Next up is a very unique and interesting PlayStation console exclusive also coming to PC, and that is Stray. Lost and alone and separated from family, a stray cat must untangle an ancient mystery to escape a long-forgotten cyber city and find its way home. Stray is a third-person cat adventure game set amidst the detailed neon-lit alleyways of a decaying cyber city and the murky environments of its seedy underbelly. In the game, you're going to see the world through the eyes of a stray cat, as well as interact with the environment in different playful ways. In the game, you will roam surroundings both high and low, as well as defend against unforeseen threats. You must also solve the mysteries of this place, which is inhabited by droids and dangerous creatures. In the game, you will be both stealthy and nimble, as well as silly and sometimes annoying to the different inhabitants of the world. Along the way, the cat also befriends a small flying drone, known only as B-12. With the help of this newfound companion, the duo will try and find a way out of the forgotten cyber city. So like I said, guys, this sounds like an interesting and fun experience, and I think it'll be one that takes a lot of people by surprise. Next up on our list, everyone, is LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. For the first time ever in a LEGO video game, you will be able to explore the galaxy your way as you fly through some of Saga's most legendary locales. LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga will allow you to play through all 9 Star Wars Saga films in a brand new LEGO-inspired video game experience like none other. You'll be able to start your journey with Star Wars: The Phantom Menace for pod racing on Tatooine, or you can even launch right into Rey's adventures in Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. It is said that players will have the freedom to seamlessly travel to any planet in any order in any time. It appears to be the most ambitious LEGO Star Wars game to date. In the game, you'll be playing scenes from the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, and the sequel trilogy. The deluxe edition of the game is also set to include a character collection bundle. This bundle will throw in 6 character packs, including characters from The Mandalorian, Rogue One, Solo, and even the brand new Star Wars: The Bad Batch animated series. The game developers are promising to provide deeper gameplay than the simplistic platforming and combat of previous LEGO games. Each episode of the film will feature 5 story missions for a total of 45 core levels to the game. It is said that combat has been improved, and lightsaber duels will focus on combo building with a mixture of light, heavy, and force attacks, while range shooting combat will focus on over-the-shoulder gameplay, such as Gears of War or Uncharted. The game will still be family-friendly, but not quite as button-mashy as previous LEGO games. There will also be some significant vehicle-based play as well. In the game, we have seen players taking control of different vehicles such as pod racers to X-Wings to snow speeders. While we already know that players will be able to access and play different scenes from all 9 of the films of the Skywalker Saga, players will also be able to access all of them right away and play in any order they choose. According to the Warner Brothers page for the game, players will also have access to hundreds of playable characters from throughout the galaxy and every era of the saga. They will be able to play characters from Luke Skywalker all the way through Darth Vader. Of course, this means that you'll be able to choose whether you play on the light side or the dark side of the Force. So it sounds like this is definitely an ambitious LEGO title. Hopefully it will live up to the hype and allow players to get the experience that they hope for. Next up is Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League, releasing for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S and X, and PC. The game is said to be an original narrative set in the DC universe and a continuation of the Batman Arkhamverse. Implanted with lethal explosives in their heads, the story follows the Suicide Squad as they look to save Earth and kill the world's greatest DC superheroes, the Justice League. While Superman is the only member to have been shown off so far, we will likely also see Wonder Woman, Aquaman, The Flash, Batman, and more. It is said that Metropolis itself will serve as the open world in Rocksteady's Suicide Squad game. The city is best known as the home of Superman. There'll be 4 playable characters to choose from, each with their own unique moveset, as well as enhanced traversal abilities. The 4 characters are Harley Quinn, Deadshot, King Shark, and Captain Boomerang. It is said that Kill the Justice League is a game that will appeal to those who like single-player and co-op gameplay, as its main campaign supports both. Rocksteady has also revealed that players who opt to play solo will be able to switch between other members of the squad as they please, while the uncontrolled team members will be handled by AI to play alongside you. Sounds like an awesome experience for those who are fans of the DC universe, and I'm excited to see more. And the final game on our list is The Lord of the Rings: Gollum, releasing for PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC. It is said that The Lord of the Rings: Gollum is a story-driven action-adventure game. You will follow the perilous journey of Gollum, chasing the only thing that is precious to him, the One Ring. The game will follow Gollum after he discovers the One Ring, set before the events of The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Though it is possible that the game will fill in different story gaps presented here or provide additional context to the events of Tolkien's books. While being vital to Tolkien's story, many parts of Gollum's quest have not been told in detail yet. In Lord of the Rings: Gollum, you're going to get to experience this story, from his time as a slave below the Dark Tower to his stay with the elves of Mirkwood. It is said that the decisions you make in the game and the way that you play will have a direct influence on Gollum's personality. With the continuous struggle between the two sides of Gollum and Sméagol, it is up to you to decide whether the darker side of Gollum will take over or if there's a spark of reason left in what was once Sméagol. It has been confirmed that the opening level of the game will be Barad-dûr, a Mordor stronghold where Gollum is being held captive. We will be able to see a variety of areas across Middle-earth. Many of these areas will be large and explorable, offering several questlines for players to uncover. The game's gameplay will largely revolve around stealth and platforming. Players will also have to make different choices at certain key points through the game. These choices and actions will be displayed in thought bubbles around the main character. It will be interesting to see the choices that we have to make between Gollum's split personalities. Players can try and use reason and side more with Sméagol, or indulge in the feral side of Gollum. The developers have confirmed that current-gen versions of The Lord of the Rings: Gollum will put ray tracing front and center as a graphical feature. It has also been said that ray tracing may be used dynamically in the game's level design. From what we've seen, however, the game does look more cartoonish than we might expect from a Middle-earth game, which has been a concern for some people, but we'll just have to wait and see a little bit more. While it is exciting to see another game set in the world of Middle-earth, some players have wished for more instead of the story of Gollum. But of course, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments down below. I, for one, am excited to see what the game may offer and then decide once it's released. So that is going to be my list of 15 exciting single-player games releasing in 2022. Let me know what you are most excited for down in the comments below, and let me know what I might have missed as well. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you made it this far, be sure and subscribe for future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.